One of the main things that people are talking about this year in the MLB is not just the fact that the playoffs are about to start, but the amount of home runs that have been hit this year is absurd. Now, depending on which way you look at it, absurd could either be a good thing because there are so many being hit, or it could be a bad thing, which I will get into later. But nonetheless, 2019 has been an absolute home run fest. Whether it's the Minnesota Twins breaking the most home runs in a half of a season for a franchise, or maybe the fact that they carried it even further and broke the franchise record for most home runs by a franchise throughout an entire season, which, by the way, was literally broken just last year by the Yankees. Or maybe it's the fact that we've had 10 players with 40 or more home runs, which hasn't happened since, the steroid era. And I still haven't mentioned the fact that 58 players, 58, have hit more than 30 home runs this season. And that hasn't happened since literally ever. Now, I knew as soon as I said something about 30 home runs, a lot of you were probably like, okay, 58 people hit 30 or more home runs. 30's not that much. But like I said, it's 58 players have never, in the history of the majors, has any season had 58 players hit 30 or more home runs in a season. It's never happened. And honestly, you can look at it yourself. All you got to do is go on MLB's website and look up the home run leaders for every season. It dates back all the way to like the 40s or whatever. And yes, I actually did click on each season and counted to make sure that I was saying this correctly, because I was actually shocked that this has never happened before. It's one of those reaching stats. I get it. Like, okay, 58 people. But the fact that no other season has even come close to touching the number 58 players, that's a big deal to me. And before I even brought up the 30 home run statistic, when I was doing my research, I was just going to look at, the amount of people who hit 40 home runs. But then, as I was looking at it, I was like, geez, how many people have hit 30 or more? And it went all the way to the second page and like halfway down. And I was like, has this happened before? This is a lot of people hitting 30 home runs. So then I went to 2018 and I was like, whoa, not even close. 2017, oh, damn, it's worse. And I just kept going. And then I got to the steroid era and I was thinking, okay, there has to be a lot of 30 home run hitters in the steroid era. And there wasn't. I mean, players are hitting so many home runs this year that even they don't realize when they're actually hitting a home run. I mean, Jock Peterson literally thought that this was just a simple old pop-up, and it ended up carrying. Now, I imagine you'd be reacting something like, okay, dude, so what? Home runs are great. We like to see them. And you're not wrong. I mean, there's a reason why baseball drew a lot of eyes during the steroid era. I mean, I'm pretty sure if I went around and asked some random people if they knew who Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, or Barry Bonds, like if I asked them, do you know who these three people are? I'm pretty sure like 9 out of 10 people would at least know one of them. I mean, the era was just extremely popular, especially with Barry Bonds breaking all of the records. Now, whether people know them because they're phenomenal baseball players or the fact that the media blasted the word steroids big and bold across like every news outlet, I mean, who knows? I mean, either they know them because they were a phenomenal baseball player or because the media just splashed steroids everywhere. Regardless of how they know who those people are, it still remains that that era of baseball was extremely popular. And I'd argue it is probably the most popular era of baseball we have seen to date. And it had to have been because of the home runs, right? And I think it's pretty clear that the baseballs have been altered in one way or the other, whether it was intentional or not. When you have top of the line pitchers coming out and saying, hey, there's something different with the baseballs. They're going out at a lot faster rate. Something is different. Part of me wanted to say they're just complaining because they're giving up home runs and they need to work on their pitching. But then the other part of me that thought logically was realizing that the pitcher's coming out and saying that the balls have been altered one way or the other the pitchers coming out and saying that were, people like Justin Verlander. I mean, even the commissioner, Rob Manfred, has come out and said that the balls seem to have a little bit less drag. Now, if a little bit less drag leads to a ton of players just hitting home runs every single game, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a little. The MLB has even gone a step further and launched an investigation to see if the balls have changed. So whenever, the MLB is taking notice to it, that something might actually be up. And yes, we all know they actually did find that the balls did indeed have less drag, and it has been less drag since the 2015 season. Now, honestly, I can say that I genuinely do not care if more home runs are hit or less home runs are hit. I just enjoy watching the sport. But I can tell you that I am in favor for more home runs. I like to see them get hit, and it spices up the game a lot. But you might be shocked to hear this. Not everyone is in favor of more home runs. And I can see exactly why, and let me just explain it. But first, I know what you're thinking. Who cares about these boomers screaming at clouds and telling all these home runs to get off their lawn? I get it. So naturally, whenever something happens a lot, and an excessive amount of it, it naturally desensitizes us to what we're seeing. So currently it's everyone's home run? Cool. That is, unless your name is Pete Alonso and you just broke the rookie home run record that Aaron Judge broke, and everybody's like, oh damn, that dude's doing something serious. Plus he's only 24. And not only that, he did it while simultaneously leading the entire league in home runs. He didn't just break the rookie record, he also led the entire season in home runs. Sadly, the Mets did not make the playoffs though. But let's get back on track. People didn't truly enjoy the steroid era just because home runs were being hit. It was more around the fact that the home runs technically were just surrounded by one or two players. And in 1998, there was a term that was created called the home run race. Now, we all know that it was between Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, and eyes around the world were focused on these two and the home run race. And something similar to this, if we want to find something that's similar to the home run race that happened in 1998, we don't really need to go back that far. In fact, we can just look at this year itself. Two names, Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich. Now, yes, they weren't in what truly is a home run race for a home run record or anything like that. But I think it's safe to say that when you want to talk about two players that bring eyes to the game of baseball, I think those two names right there are the key names to bring up. Because while their race wasn't about home runs, like I said, it was fun to watch how they were kind of battling it out for an MVP. Which now they probably won't win, but early on in the season, that's what it seemed to be. Christian Yelich and Cody Bellinger seem to bring the most hype to the game of baseball currently. It's almost as if Mike Trout has desensitized us watching him play baseball at such a high level. Basically, what I'm saying is that juice balls might not be the answer to bringing more eyes to the game of baseball, because more home runs simply mean less people being in awe of the skill of these players. If everyone can do it, then it is no longer a prime example of somebody who stands out. More or less, home runs just seem to be looked at as less valuable. But I think it's clear that when you have a handful of players that stand out from hitting home runs, people seem to value the home runs at a much higher rate than if they're all being hit by plenty of different players. So basically, when there's a handful of players dominating the home run race, if you want to call it that, it's seen as more of a respectable skill. So let me know your opinion on this whole situation. I don't know if the term juiced is the correct word to use with the baseballs that have been being used lately, because it's not like they're injecting something more bouncy into the ball that allows it. It's simply because the balls have less drag, which just allows them to go out much faster. The ball speed is way up there right now. But That's what everyone's calling it, so might as well just use the common tongue of juice baseballs. But let me know your opinion. Do you like the fact that more home runs are being hit, or does that kind of theory set where because there's so many being hit that you just see it as something that's not that great at the moment because so many people are doing it? I mean, you can look at it either way. Like I said, I'm in favor of more home runs being hit. I think it kind of just boosts up the game a little bit. But I can definitely understand where people are coming from whenever they say, yeah, too many just makes it not as fun to watch because everybody's doing it and you don't have anyone standing out really. Unless your name's Pete Alonso, like I said, and you are up there and you're number one and you're the only one with 50 or more and you're a rookie, then you definitely stand out. But that's like really strict guidelines to meet. You got to be a rookie and hit 50 home runs. And that's kind of a very, very small group. But like I said, if you enjoyed these videos, leave a like, comment down low in the comment section, and subscribe. And I'll be sure to make more of these.